Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. I haven't uploaded in over 2 weeks. I've been really sick, so if I'm snotty or I look a little run down or I'm coughing, that's just the way it is. This is the first day that I feel like I could possibly film, although I'm like sweating. I feel like I'm like sweating out the sickness or the fever. I wake up sweating every day and I have the window open and I'm still just really hot. So if you hear dogs barking or cars, I apologize, but I'm literally like sweating and I can't stop it. So I really wanted to film today. This showed up last night at about 8 o'clock, which is pretty late. This is the new collection from R.E.M. Beauty, so Ariana Grande's line. Now I did a first impression on her first collection. I received it in PR, I think like 5 items. This time they sent quite a bit more product, so I'm really excited to give this a try. We have eyeshadow palettes, cheek and lip tint, we have an under eye balm, a setting mist, and then some metallic gel shadows, a couple more things. So I'm gonna go over all the products today and we're just gonna try it on. I haven't done makeup, honest to God. I've not done like full glam makeup in I think like 3 weeks, which doesn't seem like a long time, but I'm gonna be rusty probably. So we'll see what we can come up with, but I will go ahead and leave all the information I know down below in terms of when you can pick this up and where. If you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe. I do a ton of makeup content. If you enjoy these first impression try on videos, please give this video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into R.E.M. Beauty Chapter 2. So here is the PR package. It has this liquid inside, which I thought was pretty cool. And then they did include quite a few more products this time around in PR. So we can really give you guys a more thorough first impression demo, show you close-ups, textures, swatches. So this is what the inside of the PR box looks like. We have an array of products. I'm gonna jump in, talk about each product, show you swatches, close-ups, and then we'll get into the demo. This collection launches on March 21st and you can only get it on the R.E.M. Beauty website. So I will link that down below. Quickly want to go through the products and pricing before we jump into the demo. Starting off with the Mist Thing Calming Face Mist. This retails for $24. You do get 3.3 ounces, and this is supposed to be great for before or after makeup to calm and hydrate the skin. Next up, we have the Full Night Sleep Cooling Blurring Under Eye Balm. This retails for $22, and this is supposed to be used alone or as a primer under makeup to give you that blurred, smooth effect. I'm interested to try this out. This one could either be really good or not so good. We also have a Lash and Brow Serum. This is called the Flourishing Lash and Brow Boosting Serum. This will retail for $40, and this is supposed to give you fuller brows and lashes in 4 weeks, with the full effect being at 3 months. So obviously I won't be able to give you my thoughts on this today. It does have a little brush tip applicator, so I'd be intrigued to give this a try and see if I do see results in 4 weeks to 3 months. Next up, we have the Midnight Shadows Eyeshadow Gloss in Clear. This retails for $16. And it is a gloss for your lids, which is not something I don't know if I've really ever used. I feel like that is something that would be great for photos, but I don't know about, just wearing it because it would be, creasing and messy. But if you're into that and you like to take editorial photos, this might be something you're interested in. Probably the item I'm most excited for is the Eclipse Cheek and Lip Sticks. These are $18. I have 3 shades that were sent to me, but there are 10 shades to choose from. So these can be used on your lips, on your cheeks, and they're essentially a cream blush stick. So I really am excited to use these because I'm a fiend for blush, and anything that's really bright, like this red right here, I'm really excited to test this out. We also have a new shadow product. These are the Midnight Shadows Metallic Gel Eyeshadows, $16 each. I was sent 3 shades. There are 5 in total, and they come in these little pots. The texture, just upon looking at it, really reminds me of the ColourPop Jelly Much shadows, but we'll have to test these out, but they look really nice and really high shine metallic. And then lastly, we do have 3 new eyeshadow palettes in this this collection. They're called the Midnight Shadows eyeshadow palettes, $24 each. These have some fun colors. One of them's more like neutral romantic, and then the other ones have a little bit of a pastel spin. The one I think she's wearing in the promo, and I feel like a lot of people are gonna gravitate towards, is called Go-Go Boots. It has these really pretty pastel colors in here. Now, the only thing I will say about this one is there really is only one matte, which would be the turquoise. So I might kind of play around with different palettes, kind of mix and match. And then the one that's a little bit more, I guess, wearable, more of those romantic sunset tones, I feel like a lot of people will enjoy. This is called Smitten Kitten, and this one just has like golds and bronze colors. Now this one does have two mattes in here, one for depth, which I think is really helpful. And then the last one we have here is called Groovy Baby, and this one has that fun pop of purple. But again, this one has a deeper matte to really create depth. So the first one that I feel like a lot of people are using, and it's really pretty, it doesn't have a deep shade that's matte. So we'll just kind of see what we can come up with here. But I think the color stories are cute, especially for spring and summer coming up. I feel like a lot of people are really gonna wanna play around with the Go-Go Boots colorway. So let's go ahead and start off on an eye look. I'm gonna go into the Go-Go Boots palette. A lot of people are using this shade and recreating the look that Ariana Grande was wearing in the promo. I want to do something a little different, so I'm going to start out with this shade right here. This is not a matte, but I feel like, yeah, nice and pigmented. I'm going to start out with this on the outer portion of my eye. Really nice and pigmented, and I'm not really worried about fallout, which is why I do my eyes first. I'm also going to take some right on the inner corner, doing like a halo shape. So I'm actually gonna jump into the Smitten Kitten palette, and I wanna use this shimmery purple shade with a different brush. And is it purple? Wow, my eyes are deceiving me. It's more like a cranberry. I don't know what's going on, you guys. I'm just, you know, trying to hang on here. So I'm gonna use this to blend around the edges. And I am going to pull this out as well. So I'm jumping back into Groovy Baby, and I'm gonna use this deep matte. And I just wanna try to apply this really low just to keep that depth. So I'm staying in Groovy Baby. I'm gonna go into this really pretty purple matte, and I'm going to blend this over the edges. So this is very, very subtle, which pretty much expected. Pastel colors usually are very, very light. You have to build them up. But I'm just using this purple to bring in a little bit of that pastel. So I want to go ahead and try one of the shimmers from the palette, and then I do want to top it with one of these gel metallic shadows. I think I am going to go into this shade right here, and I want to use this sort of on each side of the halo and then put that gel shadow in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and try this dry first. I'm getting fallout, which it's not surprising because I'm using this dry, and ooh, lots of fallout though. Okay, hold on. Okay, I actually ended up wetting my brush just because, ooh, I'm getting like chunking. You know, I had this issue, maybe I should just use my finger. I had this problem last time with the shimmers just not really showing up. I'm just gonna put it all the way across just because I don't feel like I can control it with my finger as much. It's applying the best with my finger, but I felt this with the original palette that I used from chapter 1. The shimmers were just really subtle. And I know some people like that, but almost felt like they were difficult to work with. Like just now I had to switch from a brush to my finger, and you can see like definitely, you know, it is a shimmer, but it's very, very subtle. Just for fun, I'm gonna try out this shimmer and see if I have a better, yeah, I don't know, like even just touching it, it feels very just dry. I don't know, just lackluster, I guess. So I'm having the same experience with the metallics in the eyeshadow palette that I did in the first chapter. Just feel like the metallics are finicky. They're not high shine. Even using my finger, I mean, I feel like it almost looks like I didn't even put a metallic on. I'm hoping this will save it. This is the metallic gel shadow in Affirmation. This is very much like the ColourPop Jelly Much shadows. I'm gonna take my finger, and I feel like this is a little bit tricky because these type of, you know, liquid shadows, you really only have a certain amount of play time. And I want to see how this layers, hopefully not terribly over what we already put on. So I'm just going to tap this over top. And I'm using a tiny bit. I'd rather build than grab way too much and have a chunky mess. Like I'm literally grabbing the tiniest bit. And I want to bring this up high to give some sparkle. I feel like the key is less is more. I would not take like a huge chunk because I do feel like liquid shadows or any sort of like gel shadow, stuff like this, can get really chunky and crusty if you over apply. But it gave me a really pretty glittery metallic look. And then just for some fun, I think I am going to try to add a little bit of this shade Touch onto the eyes. I just want to see if this really changes the look up. This one is sort of like an iridescent, I guess, turquoise shift. I just don't want to get too much. Yeah, so it adds a little bit of a different reflect, which is really pretty. I'm gonna quickly jump off and do my liner and lashes, and then we will start trying out the spray, the under eye balm, and the cheek tints. Liner and lashes are on. Let's move on to the face products. So I have this calming face mist and then the under eye sort of blurring product. I want to start off with the face mist. This is the Mist Thing Calming Face Mist. I love the color she chose for this, and I want to see what this smells like. Mister looks good. Okay, it smells like a spa, like a lavender spa. So I'm just gonna apply this all over the skin. The mister is fine. It's not like the best, but it's not like shooting out horribly. The scent is pretty light. I mean, you definitely have to kind of get up in there to smell it. I really don't know in terms of calming. I have a ton of just scars from breaking out, and I do have redness. In terms of how it feels, a little bit of attack, but nothing crazy. I want to see how my foundation goes over it. I am going to apply a little bit of my Hourglass Vanish Airbrush Primer. This has just been my favorite for pores. I also apply this mist after we get finished with our makeup just to see how it does on top of makeup. But I want to apply my foundation. I'm going to be using a mixture of my She Glam. This is the matte foundation, and a little bit of my NARS just for shade reference. So I'm going to apply that, and then I want to get into that under eye blurring balm. Foundation is on, but I avoided my under eye area because I want to try out the Cooling Blurring Under Eye Balm. So this is supposed to blur imperfections, soothe the skin, and also has caffeine to help with puffiness and dark circles. This packaging feels nice and weighted, and the texture on here is interesting. It's almost like a silicone primer for pores, but a lighter texture. I don't have a scent that I can detect, or there is no scent that I can detect. It feels nice and cooling, and it has almost like a gel feel to it. Think of like a pore smoothing primer mixed with a gel moisturizer. It feels nice under the eyes. I just want to see if it disrupts my concealer or if it makes it look better. Now looking in the mirror, I can't really tell if it's done anything in terms of like depuffing. It does feel nice and cooling. I like the texture of it. I've tried some before that were really tuggy, and also some that almost like burned my eyes, almost like they had like menthol in them. This just feels nice and cooling. So I'm interested to see how my concealer goes over it. I'm gonna use my KVD Good Apple just because this is a really nice like full coverage concealer that will go with the foundations I'm wearing. So my concealer blended out totally normal, which is a good sign. This is something I'll have to keep trying out. I wanna see how it sets with powder and see how it wears throughout the day. But I'm gonna go ahead and do some other steps to finish off my makeup, and then we will finish off with the cheek and lip and also finish off the lower lash line. All right, so let's finish off the eyes. I'm gonna go into Groovy Baby again, and I wanna try to use this pastel purple on the lower lash line, although I'm not sure that it's gonna really show up. I feel like this is the type of shade that you probably want to apply on an unset base or use a white base underneath. Something like the NYX Jumbo Pencil and Milk, something like that. It's just very, 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 very light. Staying in that same palette, I'm just gonna jump into this really deep matte shade and use this to add some depth. Going into Go-Go Boots, I'm gonna take this purple right here. I'm gonna use a really tiny pencil brush, and I did wet it. I wanna see if I can get a little bit of like a shimmery inner portion of the lower lash line. Yeah, these metallics are just really, really subtle. You really gotta like build them up, and I just think there's sort of like a breaking point where they just won't go any more intense. I'm gonna go back into that gel metallic shadow in Touch with a really tiny brush, just to add a little bit of a pop. I actually really like these. I think they're easy to work with. Just use a little bit and then build. All right, I don't have a new highlighter, so I'm quickly gonna apply the Miss Mercury one from R.E.M. Beauty. This was my favorite product from the first launch. And now on to the product I'm most excited about. This is the Cheek and Lipstick. So these are basically a hybrid product for your lips, also your cheeks. They come in this packaging, and this shade, ooh, looks so pretty. I wonder if it would go with what we're wearing though. I might have to go in with something a little bit more subdued. I'm gonna start out with this shade called Audition. Now here's the thing, I always look for a cream blush that can go over powder. Most can if you use a sponge and a light hand. I like to pick the product up off of my hand, so I don't just swipe it on. So I'm gonna dip in to the shade called Audition, and I wanna see how this goes over a set face. It's really important to me to be able to apply over a set face. That's just my preference, and it's going over just fine. And it has a really slight tack, but it's not one of those that I feel is really, really dewy, like gonna get all over the place. So I built that up pretty heavily, but I wanna go in with the brighter shade called Leading Lady. I'm gonna use a very, very small amount and just try to keep it back here. Okay, so the blush is gorgeous. I had no issues at all applying it. I'm going over it with a Beauty Blender puff. You can use really anything just to sort of settle it down, because I do feel like I went a little crazy. It's definitely pigmented, but it's not like Rare Beauty pigmented where you can't work with it. It's sort of in the middle, so you can build it. I would just use a light hand. I'm just gonna go in with a little bit more of that highlight, just because I feel like I lost some of it with the blush. But now these are multi-purpose, they can go on your lips too. I do like to do a lip stain, so I'm gonna use Leading Lady, and I'm just gonna put it in the center of my lips, sort of how I would do a lip stain. And then I'm gonna go in with one of her lipsticks from her first launch, just because the eyes are quite busy. I want a neutral lip. So I'm gonna try Roller Skates. And I'm gonna add a little bit of this Travis lip liner from Makeup by Mario just because I want a little bit more dimension. And then lastly, I want to try the mist over a set face. So I feel like the mist does give you a little bit of glow. I am seeing a little bit of little droplets on my forehead a little bit. So you can use like a sponge to sort of blend it out. But I feel like this is very much like a MAC Fix Plus sort of product. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish my hair and then we will get into my final thoughts. Okay guys, so here is the look I came up with using the new products from R.E.M Beauty. To be honest, I'm not feeling well. I feel like I need to go lay down, wash this off, and just kind of, you know, drink some water, rest. But I'm glad I got to film it and I want to give you my initial impression. Starting out with the two products I didn't use, I just want to reference, I will have to try out the Lash and Brow Serum, of course. This is something that you'd have to use, you know, consecutively for a month or two to get results. So I'll try that out and keep you updated. I did not try out the eyeshadow gloss. This is just something that I feel like would only really be useful for photos. So for me, this is not something I really would be interested in. I feel like you could get the look with literally any gloss. So I just wanted to touch on those, but I want to move into what I actually did try today. Starting out with the eyeshadow palettes. To be honest, I just really can't get over how much I don't like the metallics in here. They're just so subtle that I feel like, what's the point, you know? And when you look at this palette here, this only has one matte. The rest of them are metallics or shimmers or satins. So I feel like if you're going to have palettes that are really loaded with metallics and shimmers, they really gotta bring it. And I just don't see that. You guys can let me know down below what you think, but I like the color stories and the mattes were great. I mean, I feel like this shade was really good. This pastel was super light, but this shade was great. And then even some of the satin shimmer shades, wow, say that 10 times twice. I can't even think, say that 10 times fast. Wow. So this shade up here really performed beautifully as well. So I feel like they're pigmented, but the metallics just do not have that high shine finish that I really am looking for in a metallic. So for me, unfortunately, I just cannot recommend these just because I feel like they're just lackluster and not a formula that I would recommend you guys go out and buy. However, I do like these gel metallic shadows. Very similar, as I said before, to the ColourPop Jelly Much. These are beautiful, very easy to use, and they do give you that nice sparkle. They don't feel, you know, tacky at all. They dry down. I'm not noticing any creasing or flaking. I feel like you just want to use a little bit and really build these up, but I think these are beautiful. Of course, ColourPop is cheaper, so if you have Jelly Much shadows, you know, it's very, very comparable, but I think this is actually a product that I would use again, that I would recommend. I feel like it was easy to use and it really did what it said it was going to do. So these are a win for me. Now the under eye balm, I like it so far, but again, I really am gonna have to try it out with different concealers, different powders, and really give you my full thoughts. The good thing about this is I like the texture, I like the packaging, it feels nice and substantial. It didn't burn my under eyes, but it gave me a nice cooling effect, and it wasn't stiff to where I felt like I was tugging. Did not disrupt my concealer, so I like this so far. I'll just have to keep trying it out with different products. I really wanna see if it's going to smooth out or make a difference in my fine lines under my eyes, if it's really gonna depuff. I mean, these are all things when you're talking about like skincare products that you really have to try multiple times. First impression on this though is good. I'd be excited to use it again. The mist thing, calming face mist, is very just kind of like so-so for me. Packaging is really cute, but again, you know, there's nothing really like crazy about it that I felt like, oh my gosh, it calmed my redness or it made my skin look so dewy. It's just kind of like a Fix Plus type of thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It didn't irritate. I didn't feel that the mister was, you know, horrible, leaving droplets everywhere, but it's just a so-so product that I could, you know, give or take, or leave or take it or leave it. That's what I meant. And then finally, I really enjoyed the cream lip and cheek sticks. I really like the shade Leading Lady. I mean, I love a really bright blush. These went over powder beautifully. They're kind of in the middle. I wouldn't say that they're matte, but they're not overly glowy. There's no shimmer, and they are pigmented, but not too pigmented. So I would say this is a good formula because it's right in the middle. It's not super sticky and dewy or really glittery or anything like that, but it's also not like dry, matte, and chalky. It's not overly pigmented, but it's also not sheer. So I would actually be interested in picking up a couple more shades that are more my speed, like a baby pink or, you know, a coral, something like that. But I really loved the formula on these. They went over powder beautifully. If they blend over powder without patching or lifting, that is a huge plus for me, and I had no issues with these. So out of everything I tried today, if I were to recommend products to you, I would say the lip and cheek sticks, also the gel metallic eyeshadows, and then I'm interested to keep trying out the cooling, blurring under eye balm. Those would be like my top picks. Of course, I'll have to try out the lash and brow serum. But those are my initial first impressions on R.E.M. Beauty Chapter 2. Let me know your thoughts down below on how the products applied. Are you interested? Are you picking anything up? I apologize for my voice and just kind of looking a mess, feeling a mess. My energy's down, but I'm glad I got to film this video. Now I have to get the strength to edit it. So say a prayer for me. But I will leave all the information down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, I hope you subscribe and stick around. Hopefully I can get back to filming consistently, and I just hope that I can rest and feel better as soon as possible. So thank you guys again so much for watching. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.